Hey folks, this is Daryl Davis here. Wanted to give you a little story today to hopefully encourage you and motivate you to get out there and tell people about the Lord as Christians ought to be doing. So this morning I was there at the house. I just finished off working on a sermon and I just felt led of the Lord to get out on the streets today. And I know a brother, his name is Tommy, who does a lot of street evangelism. And regularly they go out into downtown Raleigh during big events and preach and share the gospel, which is exactly the kind of ministry I'm used to doing. So I loaded up my bag with gospel tracts and got out one of my preaching crosses that I use when I stand on the street. And was getting ready, and something came along to kind of knock me off balance a little bit and to discourage me from getting out there and going. And I'm not going to share that. You don't necessarily need to know that. But come to recognize through another faithful brother that this was nothing more than the enemy trying to hinder me from doing what God wanted me to do. So I decided, not today, devil, and packed up my stuff and headed toward downtown Raleigh. Got to the corner of Martin and Fayetteville, and there my brothers were set up for preaching. And it was only Tommy and another brother who was running the camera to film. So I got my cross and my tracts and started standing there and handing out tracts and trying to, talk to people one-to-one. This lady soon came up to Tommy, and Tommy likes to engage people in conversation. He even has another microphone for the other person to talk if they want and debate. And so this lady started, first of all, praising God and talking about her. She was a believer and all. And then she suddenly changed tones and she accused Tommy of being a racist. I'm not going to go there, okay? I'm not trying to start a debate on racism, whatever. But clearly she was very angry and had been hurt. And so as she kept on going and going, and Tommy would talk to her a little bit and try to get her to talking about the gospel, but she just didn't have any of it. She walked away. Then she came back and started doing the same thing. Well, one of the jobs of a street witnessing team member is to make sure that there are no distractions to keep the gospel from going out. So I engaged this lady. Her name's Victoria. I don't know if I shared that, and I started talking with her, and she started doing the same thing to me, cussing me out, accusing me of being a racist, whatever. So she asked in the conversation, she was talking about that she only had $1 that someone gave her. She was homeless. And she says, "Why don't you go buy me a sandwich?" She says, "Give me some money to get a sandwich." I said, "Well, I'll be glad to walk in there and buy you one." She said, "No, you don't trust me." I said, "No, I don't trust you. I just want to talk with you." So we walked into the Subway shop, and she immediately started giving the employees a real hard time. And, just talking real ugly. I tried to be as gracious as I could. I felt bad for the people behind the counter, but I'm sure they deal with people like this all the time. Got her sandwich, and she finally sat down, and I had a chance to talk with her. And I did mostly listening, When I could, I got the gospel in. Shared with her about some of my own personal experience that I'm going through right now, and we talked about that. Again, I don't need to go into too many details, but when the conversation was winding down, I reached in my pocket and I pulled out all the cash that I had, maybe $10, $12, I don't know, put it on the table, and I says, "Well, here, I want you to have this. Maybe it'll help you." And just kind of walked off and went back out to the street to support the brothers preaching. Well, I got in a conversation with another person, and Victoria came up behind me, and she touched my arm, and then she tried to hand me the money back. She says, "I can't take this from you." I said, "No, you can, Victoria." I said, "I believe God wanted me to give that to you." Victoria started crying, weeping. And she apologized for the way she behaved, and she said she knows she's not doing right and she needs help, and So I prayed with Victoria, and the lady that I was talking with prayed with Victoria and sent her on her way. You know, sometimes God has divine appointments for us. And I didn't necessarily get into a complete gospel conversation with the lady. Didn't get a chance to lead her to the Lord or whatever. But I touched her heart. Let me rephrase that. The Holy Spirit touched her heart through what I did. And so I'm thankful that I didn't listen to the enemy and I went out and did what God wanted me to do. Maybe that's a word for you today. Maybe you need to stop listening to the enemy and start listening for God's still small voice, because the enemy doesn't like you. He hates you. He's out to seek, kill, and destroy. God is for you. God bless you.